The one, the only, Bencio Good afternoon and welcome to chapter 1 of The Living Marriage of this new book that I got, 10 Really Dumb Mistakes That Very Smart Couples Make by Reverend Benzion Schaefer, the Schmooze. I'll be dividing each chapter into two parts, two different lectures, because they're pretty long chapters. So we did the introduction in two different segments. We'll do chapter number 1. This is the first segment, chapter number 1. No marriage should work. He starts off by saying that the Medrash says that Hashem, after He created the world, He spends all His time mizavig zivug and making matches, pairing up men and women. We don't really see this. You have to go out on dates yourself. It's not so simple. Hashem doesn't just pick you up and bring you to your wife. You have to actually do the work yourself. I'll talk more about that in a second. So the Medrash says that it's like Kriyas Yamsuf. The Gemara in Sota says it's like Kriyas Yamsuf to make matches. Hashem knows how to split seas, so of course He can make matches. The reason it's so difficult to make matches is because matchmaking isn't simple. While there is much for us to learn from this Medrash, the author writes, one point is clear: matchmaking is far from simple. Finding a man and a woman who are suited to each other, where her strengths compensate for his weaknesses and his gifts balance out her limitations, is a lot more difficult than it sounds. The most obvious reason is that people are different. Each of us has different talents, aptitudes, and abilities. We also have different shortcomings, failings, and imperfections. We have different likes and dislikes, and all of us have at least a couple of things that we just can't stand. In addition, people have different temperaments. Every human being has their own right, quote-unquote, right way of doing things, which is never the way you or I would do them. Other people are either too uptight or too laid back, too disorganized, or too much of a neat freak. Always late or punctual to a fault. When you think about it, finding two individuals that can be happy while operating so closely together sounds practically impossible. Now, I'll just make one point over here. He seems to be saying that, there's a big argument, maybe in the secular world more. Is it opposites attract, or basically people that are similar to each other make a better marriage? There's no consensus on the matter. Some people say, no, you want your wife to be exactly opposite of you. Some people say you want your wife to be just like you. The answer is, there is a clear answer, and if you look around at most marriages, you'll usually see that most marriages, the husband and wife are complete opposites of each other, usually. Sometimes you have to look into their personalities a little deeper to find out exactly why they're complete opposites of each other, but almost every marriage is the complete opposite of each other. Right? Usually, the easiest way of figuring it out is one person's extroverted, one person's introverted. Right? There's no more quality about personality that's so important. A person who's extroverted, it's fun to be around a person who's extroverted. They get in a lot of conversations. There's some drawbacks. Some people go overboard and spend too much of time talking to other people instead of their spouse. But overall, being extroverted is a positive quality. Introverted is considered a weakness, and it is a weakness. Introverted people are shy. Because you ask any introverted person, you want to be extroverted, they'll say yes. If you ask any extroverted person, you want to be introverted, they'll say no. So it's obvious. The answer is people want to be extroverted because it's like the reason people get drunk, because you don't want to have limitations. The more extroverted a person is, the more he's gregarious, is able to go out and speak to other people freely and voice his opinion and say what's on his mind. That's the more enjoyable life you're going to have. But usually, either the husband's more extroverted than the wife, and the wife's introverted, or the wife's extroverted and the husband is introverted. Or sometimes they're just both introverted. But usually you don't find a husband and a wife who are both extroverted, because that would be too good. Marrying someone who is very similar to you, and I'm going to say this, the truth. There are women out there that are very similar to men. Now, he goes on, he's going to talk about the difference between men and women. Men and women are very different. They are very different. Men are more intellectual, women are more emotional. Doesn't mean a man can't be in touch with emotions, and it doesn't mean women aren't smart. There are a lot of women who are very smart. It just means predominantly women tend to side with their emotions first. Men think things rationally first. So when it comes to man versus woman, naturally there's probably going to be differences. However, it is possible to have a woman who's similar to you. And that's the whole concept of zivugim. We believe A zivug, bashert, they talk about, the perfect person, the perfect match for you, right? And everyone doesn't understand this. They get married, and you're fighting all the time. How could this be the perfect person for me? So the classical answer is, no, it is the perfect person for you, but you're not perfect. You have to work on your midos. And that's the point of marriage, is to perfect your character traits. And once you perfect your character traits, then you will live a blissful life in this world and the next for all eternity. Because he does say in this book that you will be married to your spouse in Olam Haba also, which I don't agree with. I'll tell you why later. I don't agree with that. But that, with zivugim, that's the best thing for you. So we all read this medrash. We all read the Gemara in Sota. And we say, it's kasha kakriyas yamsuf. You know how hard Hashem had to work to make this happen? But he did it. But I don't want to burst anyone's bubble over here, but I want to tell you a sad fact about this world. That this is Olam Hazeh. It's not Olam Haba. In Olam Haba, maybe you will be aligned with the person who's right for you. Probably not the person that you're married to in this world, because the person you're married to in this world is either Ezer or Kenegdo, like the Torah says. Right? The worst possible situation, if the woman who's not like you gets in the way of everything you want to do. That's Kenegdo. That's Isha Ra, the Gemara says, a bad wife. And then you have an Ezer. Some people have secretaries for wives. Their wife is their secretary. It doesn't mean they have a loving relationship. It doesn't mean she's the perfect woman for them. She's the perfect Ezer, the perfect secretary. I was listening to Ben Shapiro talk about, on Valentine's Day, he took a quiz to test his love language with his wife. And he always answered the questions, what makes me so happy with my wife when she does tasks for me? I'm like thinking, this is love? This is not love. Love should be the time, the gifts she gives you, the time you spend together, physical contact. This is what makes a marriage. Not that she takes tasks off your hand. Ben Shapiro's got a lot of money. He charges maybe $100,000 for a speaking gig. He could pay for someone to do these tasks for him. The answer is that it's not so rosy in this world. Sorry to burst your bubble, but you're not married to the zivug. Whoever you're married to is not your zivug, because it's not Olam Haba yet. In Olam Haba, you'll be married to your zivug. You'll spend most of your time with your zivug. You're just married to the wrong person. And it is kasha kriyas yam. Just like kriyas yam happened one time in the world, that hasn't happened. It doesn't happen every day. Kriyas yamsuf, right? There's no even recorded evidence of kriyas yamsuf happening. There's no books, written historical documents recording kriyas yamsuf, even though people should have written it down. Whether it happened or not, and Jewish, modern day Jewish, not modern day, for many generations, Jews have believed it did happen. If it did happen, it happened, but it only happened one time. It's kasher kiriyas yam. Doesn't mean Hashem's doing it for you, So you're not married to your zivug. Sorry to tell you, but you should know, there is someone out there who is your zivug. There's a person, and usually that person is in your life somehow. You know that person decently well. It could be, someone you knew growing up. It could be somebody, when you get married to your wife, maybe someone from her family. It could be, someone, even a cousin of yours from your family. That person's in your life, but it just never occurred to you that you'd be married with them. But you just get along so well. You could think about it, there's a person in your life of the opposite gender who you get along with really well, and you see the eye on most things if you talk to the other gender besides your wife. So you'll see there is a person out there, but it doesn't make a difference. You're not going to marry them now. Anyway, it's never going to work out for you. You can't control. You don't control your destiny in this world. So this is what he says over here. So he doesn't make. He seems to be saying the man should compensate for the woman's weaknesses, and the woman should compensate for the man's lackings. No, ideally, a marriage should be someone that you share the same strengths, and you have the same interests, and you like the same things. And that's what's great about a man-woman relationship, is that wherever you're going in life together, right, you can experience that perspective in a whole, right? As they talk about, a man is half a person, a woman is half a person. You can experience the emotional greatness of whatever activity you're taking in, and the intellectual greatness together. And that's why you should be as similar as possible to your wife. Now, he talks about marriage being, some people compare it like a partnership, like a business partner. He says, first of all, he gives you business advice, even though this is a marriage book. He says don't take in a partner. Partner is a bad thing. It breaks up at 5-10 years. Definitely don't take a family member as a partner, because it not only ruin your business, it'll ruin your family. I agree with them about the partner. I don't think it's a good idea to take a partner in unless it's someone you can trust 100%. I'm not so worried about, obviously the partnership is going to be over. The question is when you can dividing the assets after the partnership is over. You want to take in a partner who's trustworthy. And I think people who learn Torah, or have been learning Torah for many years, Avreichim, I think are the most trustworthy people. So I think you want to take that, if you're going to make a partnership, because a partnership makes things a lot easier for you. It does. Again, this is not about business. Maybe the next book will do about business. A marriage is a lot more than 9 to 5. He says marriage is more than a partnership. And this is what you do. You're living with this person your entire life for the rest of your life, unless you get divorced. So you're all day. It's a partnership. So what are you going to do? And then he said it's compounded because partners are usually 2 men or 2 women. Now you have a man and a woman who fundamentally are very different. As he says, there's a cute little picture over here. I thought I'd show it to you. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. It's 2 guys learning chavrusa, and their women are coming, not even looking at the men, just women. Because the women, they're looking to go shop or something like that. They got their, you see, they have their purses on them. They're looking to go shop. And the man is the men are staring at the women, but the women are not looking at the men. Usually this is the way it is in most marriages, that, women are not really attracted to their husbands. That's why they don't give them respect. They don't love their husbands. Some men do like their wives. Some men don't. So they're very different. And boys or girls are different. He brings some study over here. They found the age of 7. No boy said in public school. No boy said a girl is his best friend, and no girl said a boy is her best friend, as opposed to the age of 3, where 50% did. He says we get older, 12, 15, 17, he says these differences don't diminish with age. They increase dramatically. Consider children at 12 or 15 or 17. The differences in genders become progressively greater. By the time they reach adulthood, their pathhoods have completely diverged, and there are totally different species living in vastly different worlds. Which brings us to the complication of a marriage. You start with a man and a woman who are brought up in different homes and are accustomed to doing things in very different ways. Despite the fact that most business partnerships don't last more than 10 years, you ask them to join together for life. Although the reality is that men and women are different in almost every way, you put them together for a short courtship, break a glass, say Mazel Tov, and from that moment on, they live on the closest proximity and share every aspect of life. You expect them to stay together happily ever after. Well, logically, it simply shouldn't work. Every marriage should fail miserably. Why doesn't it fail miserably? So he says, he has a pyramid over here, the tools that bond. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9 or 10. He has 9, a pyramid over here, of things that bond men and women together. Obviously, men and women are vastly different, but you ask most men, the greatest thing they want in life is a woman. And you ask most women, the greatest thing they want in life is a man, because we have sexual attraction, and men are attracted to women, are attracted to men. So even though at 7 years old, maybe not, but once they hit about 10, 11 years old, they are wildly attracted, or 12 years old, they're wildly attracted to the other sex. And usually, it's a good thing to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Obviously, in the frum world, we don't believe in such a thing. We don't believe in such a thing. But he says the first thing that bonds is called infatuation. I'll talk about that today. He said infatuation, when you sit down on your first date, you stare the girl at the eyes. Here, he has a few pictures over here. Here you see the picture, they're on a shidduch date, the first date, and they're just staring each other in the eyes, and the waiter over there is looking at his watch. When can I close this store? Can I close this 3 o'clock in the morning? You can't close the store. They're just staring each other in the eyes. Your first date, shidduch date, right? You go over to the girl who's waiting in the lobby. Are you Shira? No, I'm not Shira. Oh man, the guy says, I wish that was Shira. I wish that was Shira. Are you Shira? No, I wish that was Shira. Are you Shira? Yeah, I'm Shira. Oh man. But somehow they go and they sit across from each other and they stare at each other for 3 hours straight. Is that what happens on the first day of the date? No, it does not. Because I will say one thing, and I want to build on this going forward. I don't believe that shidduch dating, I'm talking from a frum perspective over in the frum world, the world I dated in, a shidduch dating system, where it's facilitated dating, where basically the boy and girl do not meet naturally. It's not natural meetings. you know about the girl. They don't even talk usually in between dates, right? There's a shadchan who's an intermediary talking to the boy and talking to the girl. Sometimes you have a representative talking to the boy and a different representative talking to the girl, and they talk to each other. So it's an intermediary. Always in America, they used to have something like after 6 dates, you drop the shotgun. Like, oh, that's a real stage now. You're talking to each other. You're making dates yourself. You have to decide to say yes or no yourself and confront the person in real life. But until the fifth, sixth date, and here in Israel, especially in the Hasidic community, they go on 1 or 2 dates, 3 dates. Here in Israel, I don't think there is such thing as dropping the shotgun. Maybe there depends what community you're from. But the point is that most from world uses facilitated dating, and he says the first thing that binds is infatuation. I really believe there's no such thing as infatuation. You can't have infatuation unless dating is done in a natural setting. If it's done in a natural setting, then there's infatuation. If it's not done in a natural setting, you say, okay, I'm here at 8 o'clock. No, the girl came at 8:15. The guy came at 8:15. Can't believe it. You call a shotgun. Where's the girl? Where's the girl? She's not coming. She's not coming. She's standing me up. She's ghosting me. No, it's very formal. It's too formal. That's the problem with facilitated dating. It's too formal. There's no chance for infatuation. If I was in control of the shidduch world, things would be vastly different. My parents always, when they talk about dating, they always talk about, yeah, when we met each other, we met at a bowling. It was completely natural. And when I was in the shidduch parsha, I'm rolling my eyes. I'm like, yeah. You don't have the rules of the yeshivish world. You're not supposed to just hang out with boys and girls together. But in truth, he's right that part of the thing that makes men and women able to live together is the attraction between men and women, and that's really what binds them. It's much better than a partnership, right? And it should bind them, hopefully, for a long time if you do it the right way. So you have the infatuation is definitely one of the steps. It's an important thing. Everyone felt a crush or infatuation with certain people, in their younger years. But it always has to be from a natural sense. I don't think it's possible infatuation when it's arranged, when it's prearranged, the dating. I just don't think it's possible. Maybe it could if you're not listening to all the rules. But if you're strictly following all the rules, it's very difficult to feel that infatuation because it's just like the bedroom. We learn about the bedroom. It's much more enjoyable just to be together without planning. If you plan it, it's not as enjoyable. So the same thing with infatuation over here. If you're, and I believe I'm not against the idea of yeshiva. I think yeshiva is a great thing. I don't think college is a great thing. There's plenty of people who don't go to college who do really well in business. I don't even believe that the subjects studied in college are going to help you. They're courses that tell you general things, but you got to know specific things. And even if you go to business school, it doesn't really, liberal arts for sure. You can be a doctor. You don't make enough money. You got to make more money. You got to be an entrepreneur. But the point is that yeshiva's goal is a good thing. I don't think yeshiva is a bad thing, but I do think that there should be natural meetings between boys and girls at weddings. I don't mixed seating is a great idea. I think separate seating is a terrible idea. I think that's the reason that they don't know. What's the reason you don't want to sit next to a boy and girl so they don't talk? Why can't they talk? They're in yeshiva. If you have Torah, you have Torah Tavlin, right? What's the worst thing that happens? They like each other, they meet each other, they get married. I think there should be, let's say 3 Shabbos is in yeshiva, 1 Shabbos out where they're, a mixed Shabbos, a mixer where they go and they have a Shabbaton together, men and women, and they can meet each other in a natural setting. And Oneg Shabbos, men and women talking to each other. I think that's 100% normal. That is a major thing in terms of playing a part of infatuation and binding the man and woman together to create that romance. I'll talk more later in the book about romance, but to start creating a romance between the man and a woman, and that's something so special and so precious that God gave to us, this concept of infatuation. And I believe it's completely 98% ruined by this concept of facilitated dating. Most people will counter and say, what do you expect from these guys learning yeshiva? They're awkward. They don't know how to go approach a girl. They don't know how to talk to a girl. And the answer is they'll learn, just like everything in life. Someone asked me, how do you go on camera and make all these videos? I said, you just turn on the camera and speak, It's awkward at first, but you do it and you learn to do it. And that's the way it should be with dating. And that's for infatuation, I think you need to have a natural setting. You have that one night where you speak to a girl and it's just like so special and you have this special feeling in your heart about this girl. It's infatuation, but eventually you'll come back down to earth. But it'll be special because you met her and you're just talking. It'd be a Friday night. It could be Shabbos afternoon. It could be during the week or whatever. But you're meeting at a wedding or something like that. You won't forget it. You won't be able to sleep for a couple of days. It's a really nice feeling. It's a really great feeling, and it really could help start getting married in the right foot. And I believe if you're in yeshiva, you know how to have restraints. You're not going to be one of these people going to the bars every night and sleeping around, because you're in yeshiva the whole week. So hopefully it'll have an impact if you're a serious person and you take yeshiva seriously. You'll have boundaries, you know. And I don't believe you have to just do it for tachlis. You have to talk to the girl. Just okay, she's not marriageable. I'm not going to talk to her. No, you have to get comfortable talking to women, and eventually, in a natural way, you'll find your wife, or you won't find your wife. But it has to be a fair game anyway. Hope you enjoyed today's lecture. We'll see you in the next one.